All right, Yankees fans, brace yourselves because what we're about to dive into is nothing short of a roller coaster of emotions. The Bronx Bombers universe has been buzzing nonstop with developments. And today we're going to unpack one of the most shocking stories of the season, a saga that has left everyone questioning the future of one of the team's brightest stars. I'm talking about Anthony Volpe. Just a year ago, Volpe was the poster child for the Yankees' future at shortstop, a Gold Glove winner, celebrated for his defensive wizardry, and a player many believed would define the next era of the franchise. He was the kind of talent that gets fans out of their seats, the kind of player you build a dynasty around. But fast forward to 2025, and suddenly, the narrative is completely different. The brilliance we had all come to expect seemed to vanish overnight, replaced by struggles that were hard to watch and even harder to explain. Let's rewind a bit. Volpe's rookie season offered glimpses of pure baseball genius. His glove work was flawless, his instincts sharp, and his presence at the plate promising. But this year, it was like watching a completely different player. The decline wasn't gradual, it was staggering. Defensive metrics that had once made him one of the top shortstops in all of baseball plummeted, and his offensive numbers followed suit. Suddenly, Volpe was putting up one of the lowest defensive performances in the league, with an outs above average of -7, a shocking contrast to the 14 he had racked up the year before. Fans and analysts alike were left scratching their heads, wondering what had gone wrong with a player who had seemed untouchable just a season ago. And it wasn't just his glove that suffered. At the plate, Volpe's struggles were equally concerning. A batting average hovering around .212, an on-base percentage of .272, and a slugging percentage of .391. These numbers are simply not what you expect from a player who was supposed to be a cornerstone for a team chasing championships. Over 153 games, his weighted runs created plus dropped to 83. For a team with aspirations of contending, these numbers are alarming. But here's the twist, the piece of information that completely reframes the narrative and explains, at least in part, the decline we witnessed. Volpe was playing through a partial labrum tear in his shoulder for most of the season. The injury happened at the end of April, and from that point forward, he was essentially battling through pain every time he stepped on the field. If you look at his numbers before the injury, they tell a completely different story. Up until the end of April, Volpe was slashing .237, .328, .456 with an outstanding 119 weighted runs created plus. He looked every bit the player we had been expecting to see dominate the game. But after May began, while dealing with the shoulder problem, his performance nosedived. A batting average of .205, on-base percentage of .255, slugging .374, and weighted runs created dropped to 74. These numbers paint a picture of a player who was clearly compromised by injury, yet continued to push through for the team. The Yankees front office has since confirmed that Volpe underwent surgery to repair his shoulder, and he will officially start the 2026 season on the injured list. This puts the franchise in a difficult position. Do they trust that a fully healthy Volpe can return to his prior form? Or do they start considering alternatives? The shortstop market is weak this offseason, and the internal options are largely unproven, making the decision even more challenging. For general manager Brian Cashman, this is a dilemma that could define the strategy of the entire offseason. It's a massive story with implications that ripple through the entire team, affecting not just the infield, but the way the Yankees approach every other roster decision moving forward. But while Volpe's situation dominates the headlines, he isn't the only player facing questions about the future. Aaron Judge, the captain of the team, has also been through a share of uncertainty this past season. Back in July, Judge was diagnosed with a flexor strain in his right elbow, sending shockwaves through the fan base. For a period, he was relegated to designated hitter duties, while Giancarlo Stanton was shuffled into the outfield more than anyone had anticipated. The thought of Judge being sidelined was nerve-wracking, but thankfully, the latest updates bring some relief. Judge will not require off-season surgery and is expected to return as a full-time outfielder for the 2026 season. That's huge news for the Yankees, as it solidifies the right field spot and allows Stanton to resume his natural role as the full-time designated hitter. For fans who were holding their breath over Judge's elbow, it's a massive sigh of relief. Even so, the team's pitching staff presents a more troubling picture. Left-hander Carlos Rodon recently underwent a procedure to remove loose bodies from his left elbow and will be sidelined for approximately 8 weeks, likely missing the start of the season. This comes on top of Garrett Cole, who had Tommy John surgery earlier in the year, and Clark Schmidt, who also had Tommy John surgery in July. This leaves the Yankees heading into opening day with a rotation that, while talented on paper with Max Fried, Luis Gil, Cam Schlittler, and Will Warren, lacks depth. The margin for error is slim, and the front office will need to be aggressive in exploring free agency and trades to bolster the starting rotation. Meanwhile, the story doesn't stop with injuries. The Yankees are also facing a potential shakeup in the outfield. Cody Bellinger and Trent Giesham are at the center of speculation, as Bellinger is expected to test free agency, and Giesham will become a free agent for the first time in his career. Aaron Boone has hinted that Jas Dominguez will receive regular playing time in left field next season. With Judge locked in right field and Stanton at designated hitter, the team suddenly has 4 players competing for essentially 2 outfield spots. This scenario practically guarantees that one of the big bats currently in the lineup may not be back next year, creating a fascinating challenge for management and leaving fans eager to see how the roster shakes out. Taken together, all of these developments make the Yankees' offseason shaping up to be one of the most critical in recent memory. A star shortstop recovering from major surgery, a captain returning from injury, a depleted rotation, and a potential outfield shakeup. These are the kind of storylines that can define a season before a single pitch is thrown. The questions are immense. Can Volpe return to form? Will the pitching staff be able to carry the team in the early months? Which outfielders will remain in pinstripes? And who will be looking for a new home? Every decision made over the coming months will have long-term implications for the franchise. The excitement, the anxiety, the anticipation, it's all part of being a Yankees fan. And right now, the team is standing at a crossroads that could reshape the future of the Bronx Bombers for years to come. Now, moving beyond the shortstop situation and the injuries, let's talk about the outfield because that's where things are about to get really interesting. The Yankees have a wealth of talent, but with talent comes tough decisions, and right now, the front office is staring down one of the most complicated puzzles they've faced in years. Aaron Judge is returning to right field full-time. Giancarlo Stanton is locked in at designated hitter, and Jas Dominguez is set to claim regular playing time in left field. That leaves Cody Bellinger and Trent Giesham in a position where they may be competing for scraps, essentially fighting for one remaining spot in an outfield that is already crowded with star power. On paper, it's a good problem to have, but in reality, it's a scenario that could lead to some very difficult decisions. Bellinger, of course, brings the power bat the Yankees desperately need. A 30-home run hitter with proven postseason experience, he represents consistency and impact. However, with his expected decision to test free agency, the team may have to weigh the cost of bringing him back versus reallocating resources elsewhere. Giesham, while younger and entering free agency for the first time, brings upside but also some questions. His playoff performance raised eyebrows, and the team may hesitate to commit the kind of guaranteed money required to retain him. With Dominguez entering the fold as a regular contributor, the math doesn't add up for everyone to stay. One of these major bats is almost certainly going to have to move on, which will be a seismic shift for the Yankees lineup. It's fascinating because this isn't just about who plays where. It's about shaping the identity of the team for the next several seasons. Do the Yankees prioritize immediate power and experience, or do they invest in potential and flexibility? Dominguez represents a long-term plan, a player who could be a cornerstone for years if he continues to develop. His defensive metrics were a concern in the playoffs, but the team clearly sees enough upside to give him a more prominent role. Meanwhile, Bellinger's departure would leave a hole in power numbers, while Giesham's staying would depend on whether management believes he can bounce back from a tough October. Every decision here has ripple effects. The lineup isn't just about batting averages and slugging percentages. It's about roster balance, payroll flexibility, and setting the stage for sustained competitiveness. And if the outfield is complicated, the pitching staff is nothing short of a nightmare scenario. Losing Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, and Clark Schmidt for the start of the season leaves the Yankees with a rotation that, while capable on paper, is thin in terms of experience and depth. Max Fried, Luis Gil, Cam Schlittler, and Will Warren are all talented arms. But when you consider the grind 162-game season plus the pressure of postseason play, the lack of proven depth could become a major liability. The front office is going to have to act decisively this winter, either by targeting starting pitchers through free agency or by engineering trades that bring an immediate impact. The margin for error is virtually zero. A slow start from any of the remaining starters or another unexpected injury could cascade into serious challenges for the team right out of the gate. This offseason is shaping up to be a chess game at the highest level. Each decision influences another. If the Yankees commit significant resources to Bellinger, that may limit their flexibility in bolstering the rotation. If they focus on pitching depth, they might risk losing a bat in the outfield. Volpe's recovery adds another layer of uncertainty. Even if he returns fully healthy, there is no guarantee he will immediately reach the level of performance he demonstrated prior to injury. The team will have to plan around his potential absence or gradual return, and that affects lineup construction, in-game strategy, and the development of younger players. Speaking of younger players, the emergence of Dominguez is a silver lining in the midst of all this uncertainty. His potential to contribute offensively and defensively cannot be overlooked, and giving him regular playing time in left field is a clear signal that the Yankees are willing to trust their prospects. However, this move also places more pressure on the team to make the right complementary decisions. Bringing in another veteran bat or keeping a player like Giesham or Bellinger may clash with the development path of a young player. Roster management in this scenario becomes an intricate balancing act, where every move carries significant consequences for both immediate results and long-term strategy. It's also worth noting that the Yankees are entering this offseason in a uniquely precarious position. Their core still features world-class talent, but injuries and impending free agency decisions have created holes that are difficult to fill. The market for quality starting pitching is limited, making trades and free agent signings a critical part of the equation. Meanwhile, the outfield could see one of its most significant changes in years, which will have a domino effect on batting order, defensive alignments, and overall team chemistry. Fans are naturally anxious because when you combine these elements, it's clear that the front office faces one of its toughest challenges in recent memory. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the baseball world, whispers are swirling that Willson Contreras may be parting ways with the St. Louis Cardinals and could soon be seen donning the iconic pinstripes of the New York Yankees. Sources close to the matter, speaking on condition of anonymity, suggest that the Cardinals and Contreras have reached a breaking point, and negotiations for a potential departure are intensifying behind closed doors. Contreras, known for his fiery presence behind the plate and his ability to deliver in clutch moments, has long been a cornerstone of St. Louis lineup. However, recent murmurs indicate that internal tensions and differing visions for the team's future may have prompted the veteran catcher to explore new horizons. It's not just about baseball anymore. It's about where he feels he can make the biggest impact, one source noted. The Yankees, constantly on the lookout for game-changing talent, are rumored to have expressed serious interest in adding Contreras to their roster. With their sights always set on a deep postseason run, New York could view the 32-year-old as the missing piece to bolster their catching core and strengthen their lineup in key situations. The combination of Contreras' offensive punch and defensive acumen would make him an immediate fan favorite at Yankee Stadium, fueling speculation across social media and sports talk shows alike. While nothing is confirmed, the buzz has already sparked heated debates among fans and analysts. Some argue that St. Louis would be losing an irreplaceable asset, while others point out that a change of scenery could reinvigorate Contreras' career. If this happens, it's going to be one of the biggest stories of the season, remarked a commentator on a recent sports podcast. As the rumor mill churns, the baseball community waits with bated breath. Could the fiery catcher trade the heart of the Midwest for the bright lights of New York? Or is this just another tantalizing whisper in the off-season rumor cycle? Only time will tell, but for now, the idea of Willson Contreras and Yankees pinstripes is enough to set fans' imaginations and expectations running wild. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.